friends. Welcome to Flosstube and Variety Show number 78. Today is May 5th, 2023. I almost said 19 something. I don't know what my brain was doing at that moment, but you know, that's just how my brain is. Yes, May 5th, 2023. I'm Emilie Williams in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Thanks so much for joining me. Flosstube means cross stitch, and variety show means other things, and we always know that the Flosstube part means cross stitch, and we never know for sure what the variety show will mean, so I guess we'll find out. Let's start with cross stitch. Golden Kite, under the roof of blue Ionian weather. This is one of my 2 full coverage pieces, and I just realized this is a bad setup, but we'll see what happens. That I try to show you each of them every other week. I don't think I'm going to stick with that because I'm just not making enough progress, but I did want to show you. Look at that woman. I mean, her face is finished pretty much. And I'm realizing I'm coming to the edge of my gridding. My gridding ends about here. And it's not really, I mean, I could move the hoop over, of course. I'm sorry I didn't take it out of the hoop, but I'm still working. My goal for this coming session or stretch of days is to fill in a lot of what's going on in this area. And then to move the hoop down and to fill in down to the edge of the useful part of the gridding down here. I can stitch all the way to the edge of the gridding, but once I get beyond that, since I don't stop at the edge of blocks, I like to be able to sort of feather my stitches out and finish the thread out as far as it will reach, and I don't, yeah, I like to have the gridding beyond where I'm stitching because I don't want to make a mistake because it's almost impossible, especially in this type of a full coverage chart, to take things out. It's hard to get at the stitches. It's hard to be sure what you're removing. There's blended thread, so it's even hard to be sure exactly which color it is. And any amount of ripping out assumes that you stitched it right to start with, so you can, I mean, I use Pattern Keeper, which is a Android-based app on a tablet that I only use for this purpose. And I can't rip anything out, so it has to be right enough, close enough when it's done. But again, one of the reasons I like to show this, 2 reasons, well, maybe 3. The 2 main reasons are that it holds me somewhat accountable to make some progress every now and then if I know I'm going to be expected to show it. And the other thing is that I see it better from farther away. When I'm looking at it at, you know, this distance or through magnification, I can't tell how much I've stitched. Now, there are maybe 140 or 50 different colors in this, plus and maybe an equal number of blends, two strands of one each of 2 different colors. And on Golden Kite. Golden Kite is known for the detail in their art reproduction charts, and the way they get there is by the use of blends in so many different colors, including very closely matching colors. But the other night I got on a roll with that, and I actually did more than 100 stitches and wished that it wasn't just too late to start another thread. I was eager to. So I'm reminded my grandmother used to say, you'll never, well, she had 2 sayings that are sort of related. One of them had to do with food. And mainly it had to do with fresh baked homemade bread that had come out of the oven within the past half hour, that she would cut a nice thick slice for her granddaughter and put butter and brown sugar on it. And of course, after I'd eaten a slice, I wanted another. And she would give me another because A, she's a grandmother and that's her job. And B, because she said, it will never taste as good to you as it does right now. And that has not really served me well as a philosophy of eating in my adulthood, but it was a wonderful memory that I have of my grandmother. Now, the other side of that is she said, don't worry too much about that chore that you've been putting off, because the time will come when that is the thing you most want to do. And I have found that to be true, and a better philosophy in my adult life than the eating one. But you know, you think to yourself, well, I promised myself I was going to wash the windows every week. Well, I'm not going to do that. I'm just not. But at some point, the window is going to be messed up enough that I'm going to say, that is my top priority today, is to wash that window. And then it's a pleasure to wash it, or whatever the chore is. So anyway, our grandparents had some wisdom, and maybe some lack of wisdom, but anyway. The next thing I'll show you, Spell of the Moon. Now, you may note that this is Friday, and this is the first weekend of the month, so I should be showing you, here's my starting point for this weekend's work. But you know what? This past week, I just got it in my head that I wanted to work on this, and I didn't care what weekend it was, if it was the BBD weekend, Sal weekend or not. So I finished it. I am really pleased with that, and it was very fun. In fact, there was nothing about it that wasn't fun. Every part of it was fun to do, interesting, and none of it was too difficult to count. And of course, as I'm looking at it, I'm hoping that all of the things are there. I was just watching Sarah Stitchy Spot, which is a YouTube channel. I do recommend it. I'll try to remember to put it in the description box. She's a retired doctor, physician, and she stitches a wide variety of things. And she's very engaging and interesting. And she talked about she'd messed up the placement of these little things on a Blackbird design she was working on. She said, but I just am not going to get worked up about doodads. It's funny because I call them doodads also. Maybe that's what they're called in the trade. And I totally agree. There's no worry about getting too worked up about them. But I do think those are pretty close to exactly where they're supposed to be. Very fun. Spell of the Moon. This is in the Winds of Autumn book, is where I got that pattern. What am I going to do with that? Well, I'm either going to make a little pillow, although this is on, so technically, I think it was sold to me as 28 count Dune Lugana. But to measure it, it measures at 30 count. But it's bigger than the 32 count. So it's just a little bigger than the design. And the thing is, actually, it is in the picture made into a little pillow, which is nice. But I feel like it's a little big for a pillow. Maybe it's all right. It's, you know, here's my hand. Maybe it's okay. But I was thinking a little stand-up, or I don't know what you call those things, you know, that it would be mounted on a cardboard thing, and it would have another one behind it so that it would open up like an A-frame. I'm holding it like this as if I can demonstrate, but you know, an A-frame stand, what are those things called? So it could be something like that. But it would be easier to make it into a pillow, and I'm sure it would be cute. So I also, working on the Cuckoo bird sampler, I think I showed this maybe in my last video. I think I must have. This, again, I'm doing as a stitch along, although I'm not aware of anyone joining me. So if you are joining me, please tag your thing with Cuckoo Bird Sal on Instagram so that I can find you and see what you're doing. And I'm doing this on Cedar is the color. It's 20 count Aida, dyed by Cedar River Linen and Design. And I'm using ecru, DMC ecru as my thread. And so I've gotten down, I had ended my, I think I was partway through the M, at least when I picked it up this week. I was partway through the M, so I finished out that line of alphabets and did a doodad. And this part of the alphabet, because I wanted to get to the bird. There's a lot of stitching in that bird, so I wanted to get it started. And I also noticed when I was looking at it, now those of you who have this chart, you can, freeze the video right there and tell me where I made my mistake. And I haven't decided if I'm fixing it. So if you found it, good for you, I suppose. This E is not correct. It needs to be, the lower part of it needs to come down another line, another row of stitching. So am I gonna fix that? Maybe. I think I'll wait and see what it all looks like. The fact that the letters are kind of whimsical makes me not as concerned about it. If this were a 18th or 19th century sampler, I would do something about it. Speaking of which, Mathilde, Hands Across the Sea. This is from Nicola's birthday box. This is France. One of the, I think there might be 2 samplers from France. And first of all, this is the first, this and Emilie Kalwar, which I'll show you in a moment, are the first time I've used the Hands Across the Sea booklets, which have the little wire binding and they open completely flat. I mean, on other floss tubes, I've heard people say, oh, those are the best way to publish a chart. It is a great way to publish a chart. I meant to take this off, or at least move it out of the way. I am doing this on 20 count, Just the Ticket Aida by Tabby Cat Linens, which I got this piece from Hobby House Needleworks. And I have just continued. I think I had not started that bolder, I almost said adult, capital alphabet, and I extended the other alphabets more. I just worked what I could reach in that hoop, and I'm planning to start again and pick up where I left off, in the next hoop section, rather than go down more. At this point, I'm just glancing over at the pattern. I mean, I would love to get down to where the blue is, but the blue is closer actually over on this side. Now this is the width of it. So I counted across the top, so you can see that is the width. I have not completed the border going down the side. I kind of have it in mind that the border is very easy, straightforward kind of thing to stitch, so I want to save that for when I don't want to think too hard, but I want to be doing some stitching. And I have good light and magnification because 20 count Aida is like 40 count linen, and I mean 18 count Aida, 16 count Aida, 14 count Aida, I require magnification these days and good light. So those of you who are young, enjoy it, enjoy it. Emilie Kalwar, 1890. Hands Across the Sea again. I get one of these little metal bound booklets. As I said before, I picked this one because I like the fact that it's that teal color. It's sort of an unusual color. Once again, I'm moving the needle minder out of the way. And I think the last time I had partial rows of the alphabets. And so I finished, and so those rows of alphabets are now complete. So the next thing is the next row of that calligraphy, Old English type alphabet, and then I get to start on some of the bands and finish that alphabet. So in other words, I've finished down to this top complete row of that. So there's another complete row of the calligraphy alphabet and then the rest of the sampler. So I'm looking forward to that. I haven't yet decided if I'm putting Emilie Kalwar down there or Emilie Williams or what. It's interesting. Brenda in the Serial Starter recently mentioned that, well, Brenda said if she's stitching a reproduction sampler, she stitches it as a reproduction. And I totally understand that. And I have a strong pull in that direction myself. I mean, I'm a music historian and I like the idea of original instruments, performances, and that sort of thing. But it is not the only way to do things. It's not necessary to do that and still honor the first stitcher of the sampler. So I don't know what I'll do. I don't know. Sampler 193 by 2x2 Stitch Art, which is a Etsy shop. When I saw you last, I had ripped out the center because I had discovered it was wrong. It took forever to rip it out, but I stitched it. I just put it back. So now I am back where I was a couple weeks ago and ready to move on. It is correct now. I have verified it. I have double checked it and triple checked it. So I just think this is very striking and it's fun to stitch. So this is the whole, this is the whole size it will be. It'll be square. And I think it'll be a pillow top. I haven't even really measured that. It's probably about 16 inches square, something like that. So that's all the stitching I'm going to show you. I realized that because I was away in the Seattle area visiting relatives, I completely missed my Nativity Sal weekend in April. So I will pull that out soon. So that's something I'm not showing today. I'm also not showing Winter Rose Manor, although I do have a feeling I've made progress, but there'll just be more to show next time. And I'm not showing you the tiger piece. Now, having finished the Blackbird, that does leave a slot in the Blackbird project category. And do I want to start another Blackbird right away? Well, I think I do. But here are my thoughts. Originally, I was thinking I would do next the Mighty Oaks from Little Acorns Grow sampler from this same book. In fact, since I have the book here, I'll pull it out and remind myself and you what it is. It's Close to Winds of Autumn is the book, and the sampler is, it's called Mighty Acorn. That's funny. This one. And this is supposed to be done on 36 count fabric, 2/2. And I had set aside, I have this dune that I just did. Yeah, I'm glad we're having this little talk because it's making me think this through. So I just set aside, I just finished Dune. On Dune, I just finished Spell of the Moon. And I have a big enough piece. There's a big enough piece to the side to do this sampler. And I have the threads. But I was concerned that the coverage, I wouldn't like the coverage of 2 strands of this overdyed cottons on 36 count, or on 30 count Dune. Although I just did that Spell of the Moon. See, I'm gonna pull it out of this pile, in 2 strands of DMC. And it's fine. I mean, even up close, even in the black, I'm satisfied with that. I don't know. Because I was thinking, well, I'm sure that I have an additional option. I have another piece of fabric, which is kind of in this family, actually, from Cedar River Linen and Design, which I think is the one called, I don't remember which one it is. I have 2 different ones. And I possibly have a Fox and Rabbit fabric that might be suitable. And, of course, fabrics are available. And I could go online and sort of figure out whether I wanted to order something to see if it would be more suitable in 36 count, as a 36 count linen. I'm pretty sure that Lugana does not come in 36 count. I think 32 count is the smallest it comes in. And this is 30 count, so it's almost the same as this. But 36 count and 30 count are quite different. So I don't know. That's another reason, just that indecision has made me not immediately kit up fully, completely get ready to stitch Mighty Oak, which is actually called Mighty Acorn. Mighty Acorn. I don't know. I do think, I haven't, again, I also haven't laid the threads down. I haven't laid the threads down to see if they show up well on that fabric. I don't know. All right, enough, Emily, just move on. Okay, a couple of other things. I still have, you probably can't even see this. Can you see that? This is a tail tucker, and it used to have a whale tail on it, and I got it from an Etsy shop. I don't remember which one. But I love that. It's a very useful, I use it all the time. And I pulled the whale tail off it, and I thought, oh no, it's ruined. So I ordered another one. This is from Stitch Mania Stash. It's hard to hold it so you can see, but it's very pretty. It's a, a little silver colored bead on it. And I'm not sure how people actually do this, whether they just stick hot glue and then poke it through the hole. That could be it. And it may be that I could do something like that and repair my whale tail one. But anyway, I have another one. And that's an Etsy shop. And she also sent, this is a ideal needle minder. See what it is? It's a guitar pick. It happens to be a very pretty guitar pick. She put magnets on the back. And I say ideal because it's so lightweight, because some needle minders are not lightweight, and when you put them on your project, it sort of interferes with your stitching. But I like this idea and that item a lot. I also got some more from a place on Etsy. I really should remember. I'll put it in the description box. But this is just one of those little wooden things that she painted, and I have them in different colors. I have 5 or 6 different colors. Oh wait, I can tell you who it is because I have one right here. Wildflower Fox. She packages them like this. I have a yellow one, I have a second red one, I have a green one, I have at least one orange one, maybe two, and a blue one, maybe. Again, I like these because they're lightweight. They are not hard to hold. Now, I have some really cute ones. There's some of the resin ones are fine also. For instance, this one is by the same person who the little whale tail thing was from. That's a little rowboat. And I have a book replica that looks like The Hobbit, which was given to me, which is also, it's fine, it's not too heavy. And I made the tiny little quilt square. I mean, it's okay. Again, it's not too heavy. But some of them are, like some of the more metal, enamel, metal pin style ones are too heavy. I have a few that are like that. Oh, you know what? I have one right here. This is a cute little needle book that my friend Leslie gave me, and this is one from Missouri Star Quilt Company. That is the Missouri Star quilt block, which is their logo. And it's one of these metal, you know, enamel metal with magnets. And it's, I mean, it certainly holds the needle, but it is a little too heavy for many projects. Now, if it's a project that I never hold, that I always put on my little Nerge grippy thing, then it's okay. This deal. You know, if the weight of the hoop is held like that, then I don't care how heavy the needle minder is. But anyway, the other thing I'll talk about, because you've been saying, Emily, okay, this is a fun little tool. It's a Krennic cording maker. You crank it and that goes around and it goes the other direction. And so I made a piece of yellow cording. I just got some floss. I don't know if that's focusing. I don't know, I can't tell. And I also made black and red cording. I had some, I'll say spare floss that I just was practicing with. And my idea is that I will be able to make my own cording in order to finish little cross-stitch smalls into little things, pillows and such. So this is fun. The first place I saw how to use this was on Vonna Pfeiffer's YouTube channel, which I do recommend. She has a lot of different finishing video things. Now, what else? Okay, I'm going to pause the video for a moment and show you briefly one thing, and then we'll close. So let me pause. Okay, I'm back. I'll start with the small thing that I can actually pick up. It's very hard to show things that are black take pictures of them or cameras. So can you tell what that is? It's a piano bench, and I'll just set it here, and you can raise and lower, because if you're a short little student, you might, or a really tall person, you might want to hire. And this is the Lego piano bench that goes with the grand piano, which I finished. I am really impressed, as I always am, with how the Lego thing works. And let me, you know what, I'm gonna just tip this down, and who knows what kind of a mess is gonna be visible. Hopefully not too much. Because it's hard to show this. So this, the top of the piano opens just like a piano, and you lift up the top, and there's the stick to hold the piano open, and it sticks into little holes, which I can't see there, just like a piano. Here's a music stand that opens up. And actually it's designed, oh, I was gonna put my phone on it, but guess what? That's what I'm recording on. So I can't do that. It's designed to hold your phone here, and it has a little opening here with a motor. You can see the door opening down here. There's a motor and there's a sensor in it. So just so you can see in there. Whoops, the door is flying open. Oops, it's big and it's kind of heavy. Now, here's the keyboard side of it. It also has casters, so as I'm turning it, it's kind of rolling. And the keyboard opens up, and here are the keys, 25 keys, 2 octaves. And when you press the keys go down and they come up. You can see there in the back. Oh yeah, and this music rack is removable, just like concert grands are removable. Let me just take it off. And the keyboard also is removable, just like real pianos. So like this. So the keys actually work, and they look like ivory. You know, they're faced piano keys. And down here is the pedals, which if you play piano, you know that you like to have a nice damper pedal. Whoops, that. And the damper pedal, when you press it, it raises the dampers. I mean, it's so amazing. Oh yes, and the piano is a Lego, which is just where the Steinway designation would go. Again, you just put this back in here, just like this is how grand pianos are. So it's really fun. This closes. And again, you're supposed to be able to use an app on the phone to, that isn't far enough in. Well, I've managed to do, oh, I bet it just isn't for down. Well, you know what? I'll just work on it. What is not closing about this? I think I don't have it far enough in. I think it goes back one more slot. Yes, that's right. Because Lego is very precise, so it is not going to be true that it wouldn't close. Anyway, there's an app that you can dial up a piece of music that is pre-programmed into the phone app, and it shows the music. It shows some music going by, and the keys move. There's a motor and a little gear thing, and the keys go up and down, but they don't go up and down as if it were really that piece. Now, is it possible to program it such that they could? It would be, but it would require an awful lot more mechanics, because the way this is set up is that there's a long shaft that has things sticking out of it, that when that sticking out thing hits the hammer, oh, that's another thing, it has hammers that go up and hit the strings. Anyway, when it presses that part of the hammer, it causes the hammer to go up. And then when it's gone by, the hammer comes back down, and the hammer is connected to the key, just like a real piano. So when the key is pressed, that causes the hammer to tip up and hit the key. And there is a gear thing that does that, except that it does it it is not random, but it is a programmed way. It is a repetitive way, so that as it goes around, it will hit the same keys over and over in a predictable way that is the same, no matter what piece of music it is. Now, in order to make it play each key as if it were a player piano, for example, each key would have to have its own dedicated sensor and circuit and little motor. And that there are 25 keys here. A real piano keyboard has 88 keys. And there is such a thing as a player piano. I mean, you can look it up if you've never encountered one, where you just sit there and I think you run it with your feet. It's like a treadle type thing, like a treadle sewing machine. Or maybe you crank it up, or maybe they were electric ones, where it's a real piano. It has the real works of a piano. It has keys, strings, hammers, damper, but there's a roll of paper that's perforated in a certain way that causes the piece of music to be reproduced on the piano, and it's mechanical. So it would be possible to do something like that. I mean, it's been done, but not in a Lego model that a normal person could have in their home. So I am entirely happy with this and impressed with it, and it was a lot of fun to do. I do have other Lego models. Maybe I'll show you another one soon. Because, you know, once you get going, once I started working on the Lego, I thought, oh yeah, I love doing Legos. And Lego is a lot like cross stitch, because it's a very meticulous following of instructions to reproduce something that was designed a certain way. And that's what it is. So I'm not going to tip the camera up. I'll just duck down and say, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, I hope that you will consider subscribing if you're not already subscribed. I can look at statistics and see that about half of my viewers aren't subscribed, which is fine. My plan is to make a video in 2 weeks. My hope is that I will be gone next week. But if I'm not, I'll make a video and I'll tell you more about it. I went to the beach last week. I'm sure the closing picture today will be from that trip, because we had gorgeous weather, and I love the ocean. I love being at the ocean. And yep, we saw our son and daughter-in-law and saw some friends. And that's all for now, I guess. So many blessings to you, friends.